Welcome to the Excel Purpose Show with Counselor.
Today we have with us Brenda Denbesten. Her background is in chemical engineering. Playing with bombs, mother of three, she helps women level up in their personal and professional life. Welcome, Brenda.
Hello, Cons. Lovely to have you with me.
Yeah, it's so good to see you. It's been a while since we chatted. Thank you for co-hosting with me the other day. It was Siri as well. That was an amazing event.
That was epic. Really, really epic. And she is amazing. I think everyone felt the same after that book club event, which was amazing. So if people haven't caught that yet, I definitely recommend that they try and get their hands on something.
Yeah, in the Zoom room with world champion, not something we experience every day. Awesome. So I wanted to say congratulations, Brenda, for your Tedx talk coming up.
Thank you. I'm still getting TEDx speaker as part of my, identity.
Embracing that into you.
Yes, I'll be speaking on TEDx Mornington in 2024 in March.
March 2024. Amazing. Let me see if I could drop that in the calendar and make a visit. So for everyone that's aspiring to be a TEDx speaker, getting on the red dot, what advice would you have for them leading up to that? How much work was involved? How much preparation did you have to do? Run us through the mindset of getting ready for that.
Yes. So look, I think the mindset very much starts with being clear about wanting to be on a TEDx stage, right? And ultimately a TED stage, that's the dream, to be upgraded. But the first thing is really having a desire and being clear about it. And then the next thing is to start to take actions towards that goal and that desire. I knew I wanted to do a TED talk, but I didn't know what it was about. So getting clear on your one big idea is also a necessary part of the process. Now, I've got a lot of things in my life that I do and I enjoy. I'm a multi-passionate person. Like Carms mentioned at the beginning of the call, I'm a chemical engineer. I've done some manufacturing and mining experiences in my background. I'm very passionate about women. I love to advocate for them in the corporate industries and getting seen, being heard, being recognized for the work they do, because we almost feel like we have to do things double as much to be as good as the boys, right? So yeah. There's so much stuff I could have chosen and selected. I ended up selecting intersectionality and embracing that and the differences that we have as people as our strength. And that's what my TED talk is on. But if people want to, and we can talk about that a little bit later, because a lot of people don't know what intersectionality is. How did you come up with
your one big idea when you're tossing about so many things? And you're right, like, I'm Asian, you're like of a different color. So we have some of that understanding of like, maybe some of the advantages we wouldn't get being in the environment that we are, that guys would get, that somebody is Western would get. What made you, out of all the ideas, how did you kind of cope whatever you had to cast aside and to go, this is the one?
Very good question. So I think being able to think about, okay, do I have enough stories and do I have enough lived experience, do I have enough statistics and data that can help actually make this idea something that's worth spreading? And what's the flow-on effect? Because something could be important to yourself. You might love, to stop homelessness, or you might want to have, a big heart for a charity or hobby or something that's, you might volunteer for. But it's about, okay, if I share this idea, what could be the flow-on effect of that? Would there be a lot of groups that would be interested in this idea? And that can help you test, is it a big idea or is it a small idea with a little bit of a shift? Where exactly does it sit on the spectrum of what TEDx looks for in terms of their talks? And then also being clear about the TEDx events that you want to apply to. So in this instance, the TEDx Mornington event the theme is made in the kaleidoscope. So that in itself already lends itself to the fact that they're looking for ideas which help to bring people together, help to recognize the different fabrics of our culture, of our, in my view, our identities, and how we can, essentially bring diversity to the fore and make our lives better. How do we create a better future by embracing who we are as people and going forward and doing that, right? So that's when you can look and say, oh, I've got 5 ideas. Which idea would actually fit the theme of the event that I'm applying to, right? And really trying to embody that into your talk. The next stage will then be, keeping an eye out on the Tedx website. So the Tedx website is very clear about which upcoming events are coming, what is the theme of that event, when do nominations open up. And don't be afraid to nominate yourself. Like a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, like I don't know if I should nominate myself or should I get a friend to just nominate yourself, okay? Put your foot in the door. If you don't go for yourself first, and this is something I love telling my clients, love telling my friends, you have to go first. You have to believe in yourself first. You have to know yourself as a speaker first before you can bring that energy into the room and let other people believe it too. So 100% nominate yourself for that talk. And then, start to supply the evidence as to what is your big idea? Why do you feel it to be relevant? What is the, flow and effect if your idea is embraced?
Drafting it and start typing out that idea. Is it still 18 minutes or is it shorter now?
Yes. So the talk itself is 18 minutes. Now, I don't know about other people and other applicants, whether they actually create an 18-minute talk before they do the TED Talk application. That's not me, okay? I'm like, first of all, let me get my foot in the door and I'll figure things out later. So I had my big idea. I kind of knew some big themes that could sort of lend itself to that. But the pitches are typically 2 to 5 minutes. So the pitch, so what happens is you apply and you have to do like a little 1 or 2 minute video. So different TEDx spaces require different requirements. I've applied to 3. So I've done the TEDx Sydney, I think there's a TEDx Melbourne, and this is the TEDx Mornington. So this is the first one I've actually gone through to an audition process, and then the first one that I've gone through. So do not feel dismayed or discouraged when you fail one. Keep applying, keep on looking. Your idea will be perfect for a specific event. So yes, once you've applied, then they'll look at your audition information and see if it's relevant to the topic, and then they'll ask you to pitch. So the pitch can be anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. In my event, this was actually, we're told 5 minutes originally, and then I think they just decided, oh, sorry, we don't have 5 minutes, it's 2 minutes. And the challenge is trying to condense your idea in 2 minutes, trying to make it juicy enough to be relevant, but also juicy enough for them to be curious, to want to hear more. So I think, a few people struggled to keep to time. So
straight at 2 minutes.
I thought they would, and that's why I really practiced mine. So I'll tell you about the journey about my getting there, but I had to re-practice mine a few times just so I could get to the 2 minutes. And then I think on the last day they said, oh, please also introduce yourself and say the title of your speech. And I was like, oh my God, that's now going to add an extra 10 seconds. Like, what if they cut me off? And there wasn't much time to switch it up, but they weren't very militant, but I'm pretty sure they would have been looking to see how close are you to the 2 minute time frame. Because on a real TED Talk, you mentioned 18 minutes. If your talk is over time, they won't put it on the website. That's just one of their hard barriers. And you have to, incorporate, if you've got a few funny jokes, how long is the audience going to be laughing for? If you forget something or if you've got a longer pause. So you want to put that into effect, and you're better off being shorter than too long and overrunning and not having your talk put onto the website.
Yeah, that's some good tips. When you are preparing for it, did you memorize it, or is there like a screen cue, or did you hold something? What's that like?
Good question. So I was a little bit late into the application piece, so I missed the original deadline, and then I went back on the page, and then I was like, oh, submissions have been extended till, I don't know, 10th of October or something. So I was like, oh, let me just quickly get in there. Let me just put my thing in there. So I've submitted it on the date or the day before or something, the extended submission. And then I heard back about 4 days later that I was in. So I was like, oh, what? That's crazy. Like, I'm a finalist. So cool. And then they're like, auditions are in 10 days. And I was like, what? So I've got 10 days to figure out how to turn my idea into a 2 minute pitch, figure out what that 2 minutes looks like, and then, rehearse that 2 minutes and memorize it. So that process is very, it's like, woohoo, I'm a TEDx auditioner. And it's like, oh crap, I've got to practice this thing, and I've got to actually, rehearse and memorize. So I like to memorize. I did have a little cue card available, and you're not allowed to have anything on your screens. And again, different organizers and different events may have different rules.
So no actual screen, is that right?
No screen, no. So no slide that you can look at and remember. You could have a cue card, which is typically, you know, a small little card that you can look at. I had one, but I don't believe I looked at it.
But then you practice it so many times.
Yes. I did practice it so many times, and yeah, you sort of
And it paid
figure
off.
out. What was that?
And it paid off.
Yes, it definitely did. It definitely did. So next is to create the elongated version. I believe they've said aim for 15 minutes. So to make a 15-minute talk, to practice that, I believe we have to submit our first draft next month. And then we get speaker coaches, we get access to a TEDx hub and a TED Talk hub. And then they look at our speech, they fine tune it. There's certain talks, there's a TED way of speaking that's sort of different to a typical way of speaking, like different to a keynote way of speaking. And so it's really about storytelling, being conversational, like you're sort of talking to a friend or talking to a room of peers. Yeah, statistics. So everything gets really thoroughly scrutinized by the TED personnel. They have to look for copyright, they have to look for veracity of your content, veracity of any statistics that you've quoted. And you really want to be quite specific. So you, rather than saying, oh, research shows that, you know, engineering continues to be a male-dominated industry, they want you to say, you know, statistics from the Engineers Australia survey done in 2022 shows that Australia still has only 12% females in engineering, right? So you want to be really quite specific about your statistics, showcase where you got them from, and if you've got something through lived experience, showcase that you had personal experience doing that. So very interesting.
Amazing. Looking forward to that. Let's go back to the point you mentioned about, you know, sometimes women, you know, you want to help women for personal reasons. I guess we always want to help people based on our own reasons. So when you're thinking, hey, women have to sometimes work double as hard as guys, how did you conquer that in your journey? And how have you been able to, you know, help your clients with that? If other women is out there and like feeling that way, what tips do you have for them?
That's a really good question, because I think we are sort of taught throughout school, you know, that you do well, get good grades, get an A, you know, pass your classes, and then you get rewarded with, you know, a pass, or you get an award as the best best in class. And, you know, that's pretty much all you have to do. Do your homework, study hard, ace your exam, right? And you kind of go out of school, out of university with this mentality. So you enter into the workplace and you start to work hard. You start to do what you need to be doing, I suppose. Perhaps it may include working long hours. It may include trying to get all the information and get things presented on time. But year after year, you start to realize, actually, no one's really rewarding me about this. No one's really recognizing me. And no one's actually, you know, how come I'm not getting that promotion that I thought I'd get after 3 years? Now it's already 5 years. And, you know, I keep getting told, oh, maybe next year, maybe next year. What freaking hell's happening here, right? So this was sort of my experience, you know. I sort of, you know, was going through the motion and trying to, you know, assuming that promotions would be stock standard and it'll just happen after I put in the work, but they didn't happen like that. I was like, what's going on? So I actually changed jobs, which actually is a good strategy. Like sometimes if your current workplace is not recognizing you for who you are, and you maybe have reached the ceiling in that role, and in your department, you can see no one's moving on. You might want to move to a different company that's going to value what skills and expertise you have, that's going to keep you challenged and keep you engaged, right? So you want it to always be a win-win. And a lot of times us as women are into pleasing, and we're into like making sure people see how much we're giving of ourselves and hoping that that's going to be reciprocated with a salary increase or reciprocated with recognition and a new role change, but that doesn't automatically happen. And we typically do see the men in our industries or in our workplaces getting the tap on their shoulder, or they get the roles that we thought we were going to get, or we all start together, but then after 5 years they've already had two jumps and you're still sitting in the same role that you were at, right? So what I started to realize was that us as women need to actually own a lot of what we're doing in the workplace. So we need to make it very clear what we've done. So rather than saying, oh yes, our team has really got this done, we managed to receive an improvement to the budget, we managed to receive to drop the project schedule to only 2 weeks instead of 4 weeks, we always use the word we, when it was really us, I was the one who did this discussion. I was the one who saw that, oh my gosh, if we don't do anything now, things are going to go fully skyrocket and our budget is going to be blown, right? So really being able to communicate that with our bosses, communicate that with our peers, and not waiting for like a half-yearly review to sort of start saying, oh, I've been great, or I feel like I've met my targets. I've always done, I've always spent excess hours at work. I've always put my hand up for the social club, right? Because as women, we often put our hands up for the busy work, maybe taking minutes, helping to create social club events, bringing in the afternoon tea. Those things aren't promotable tasks, sad but true. Yes, we may be the nurturers, and yes, we may be the people that make a house a home, but in the workplace, we really need to be more strategic and more vocal about what we've been doing and the impact it's been having. So essentially, letting people know what decisions we've been part of and how they've impacted the bottom line. Because once people know that, like, they can't unknow it, and they sort of start to associate you with something. So if someone says, oh, we've got a problem with our budget, keeps getting a run over, I'm like, oh, Brenda told me that she managed to get, 3 or so of her projects. She managed to get them, the project was overrunning and she managed to talk to the contractors. Have you asked her to talk to your contractors? Have you asked her what she did? And people start to now, do 1 + 1 = 2 with your name next to it, right? Rather than just a nobody or a faceless we in a project. So those are some of the visibilities.
Brenda, that's a really good point, and I don't want people to miss that. So, because I have a very similar experience to you, just sitting back, doing the work, grinding really hard, doing the extra hours, putting your hands up for different things, additional projects and whatnot, helping the team out. And a lot of those things go unnoticed because nothing breaks, right? Like nothing, when things are smooth, bosses won't pay particular attention because they don't need to put out any fire. So what I have noticed is that only when I disappear for a long time, like if I go on holiday, like not here for a month, very rare thing to do, right? Because I'll feel bad about taking leave and things like that. But when there's a big gap, that's when they actually realize the value. It's like, man, all of this thing that I don't even know that you do, it's like there's all these little fire that you just like post down, and they have no idea about because they will never see it. And it's only when you're gone they see that. So yeah, I totally agree with you. It's like we have to be vocal about the fires that we're putting out before they actually become that, and to bring it to their attention, so that you're right, the name, attaching your name to the ability to take on these tasks and have done them well. It's when things are about to happen, whose name is on their mind.
Correct.
Yeah. And when we are just sitting back, our names don't come up. No. And they are the people that could be doing less work, but they're very loud. And because they're very loud, their name and their personality, that picture is in the boss's mind. So naturally, it would go to them because it's just what's popping up in an emergency and when things need to get done. So I love that point that you brought up. It's like, hey, attaching the the 1 + 1 getting into people's mind. That's a really good one. What about when it comes to, I know you're really big on branding as well. A lot of people, I feel, especially women, we don't really realize there's like a personal branding that follows you. And along with like sales and marketing, because everything we do, it is in a way branding, sales and marketing. But we tend to shy away from that. Do you agree with that? And what tips would you have?
100%. And I think it comes from, again, maybe school and society in a way. Girls have always been told to sort of be in the background or don't talk back to your elders, or, I mean, maybe some of this is cultural, accept what you're told. So we almost want to shrink back and be in the background somewhat, right? But there is a necessity for us, especially in today's day and age, where people follow people, right? It's not really people following organizations anymore, people following companies. People are following people, and the reason they're following people is because they can see that, oh, you stand for this, I like that, I also stand for that, I resonate with you, I'd like to follow you and see what you're doing, right? So in the workplace, this is similar. Your personal brand, or if you want to call it a professional brand, is also very critical. So your reputation precedes you. Your reputation is your brand. So it's your currency, essentially. It's what you can exchange to get things out of your working life. You can exchange your reputation to get a pay rise. You can exchange your reputation to get access to projects. You can exchange your reputation to be involved in a key investigation or something, right? This is exactly what this currency is all about, but people don't see it as that. People maybe see it as, oh, I don't want to be known. I don't want people to, you know, to look at me, especially when you say, let's get your reputation, let's get you visible on LinkedIn. People are like, oh, no, I don't want to be on LinkedIn. Like, I don't have anything to say on there, but that's where people are looking, right? And now people aren't even spending money on ads for jobs. Like, the recruiters just go on LinkedIn and they look for people with certain titles, look for people with certain resume experiences, and then they just go into your inbox and say, hey, I've got a role coming up. I mean, you know, you look to fit the profile. Are you able to, you know, does this interest you, right? So people are really beelining to people who've set themselves up and established their brands. So your brand is really who you are. Your brand is what you're all about. Your brand is what you're passionate for and what you want to be known for, right?
Yeah,
so
I like that. This thinking up to, because this is, you're putting these dots, and I want to make sure the listeners are connecting this, right? Because we were talking about, hey, if we don't have the opportunity to go up in our current workplace, maybe we've already reached a ceiling, maybe there's no opportunity. The suggestion was, hey, it's okay to look somewhere else, right? You said you changed jobs. So one is like the courage to changing job, and knowing, you self-knowing you have the confidence to jump ship when it serves you. And when you do this, you also want your branding to follow you. And part of the strategy is really having your LinkedIn prepped. And you're saying, yeah, now we have recruiters that will headhunt or beeline you purely by looking you up. And some people may be like, yeah, I don't need to be out there. But the reality now is that we are all out there, whether we want to or not. The moment we apply for a job, they are literally will look you up on Google. So wherever you show up on social media, that's going to be, they're going to see you.
Yes, I had a tech issue. Looks like my connection's gone.
That's okay. We've got you now. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, great to have you back. So we were just saying that it is so important that when we are having the courage to jump ship for another opportunity where we may already have hit the ceiling in our current job, is to, one, trust that we have this competency and capability to jump ship, but preparing ourselves for it, because the moment we apply for jobs, the recruiters, our companies will be looking you up on Google immediately. And whether you want to or not, your social media presence is going to make a difference when people compare you side by side. So this branding is not like, it's not like we have to have a brand, like an icon,
a label,
or a slogan or whatever necessarily. We're not talking about that kind of branding, but it's just literally when people look you up on social media, what is the first thing they're going to see when they don't know you? How are they going to perceive you as a person just purely by what you have out there already? So what would you recommend people do when it comes to preparing their LinkedIn profile in preparation for opportunities?
So the first thing that's very, very important is to have a profile photo. So I think this may seem like it's, you know, small, but, you know, think about us scrolling around, right, on Instagram or scrolling around on Facebook. If someone doesn't have a profile photo, it just already has a dodgy feel, right? It's almost like, what's happening here? Why hasn't this person got a photo? Like, I can't see who they are. I can't look them in the eye, you know? So one thing that is very important is to have a profile photo. And if possible, have that, you know, at least every 6 months refreshed, right? I like to say, if someone was to meet you in a cafe, like if they looked at your photo on LinkedIn and they looked at you, they would say, oh, cool, you look like the person I'm meant to be meeting, right? You don't want it to be some sort of catfish kind of affair.
Not like one of those passport photos where it's like 10 years ago and then you rock up and the security is like looking at you like, what are you this person?
Yeah, no grainy photos and no old school photos. Okay. Now it's a bit tough for people like me who like to change my hair every so often. But yeah, let's just make it sure it's a nice, crisp, clear photo. Have a clear background. So if your background is something like whatever's behind me or whatever's behind comms, try and just go onto Canva. These days, Canva is a tool that allows us to just quickly edit that photo and put a clean background behind it. It just makes it look much more professional. Like you don't want to see that you're out fishing or you're out, in the tree somewhere. It just makes it look nice and professional. Just have a nice clear headshot above shoulders and a smile if you like to smile. If you're a person that likes to smile, if you prefer, if you're quite a serious kind of character and the non-smile, no teeth is preferred, then go for that, right? So first thing is a photo. The next thing is your headline. Now your headline is very important because this is the one that recruiters use to find you. It's what perhaps if you're an entrepreneur. Yes, it is part of the search. So where your name is, you can put a slash. It's usually, I don't know what it's a straight line down. I don't know what the name is of that.
I don't know what that's called either, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so there's a straight thing. So not the backslash or the forward slash, the straight slash. And you can put some keywords after your name. So perhaps, if you're a professional, you might put chemical engineer, you might put mining, you might put manufacturing, and things that are the keywords for your industry and where you want to be known for, right? And make it fun as well. Perhaps say, dog lover or cat lover or catch me in the sunshine, add something that's a little bit personal.
Personality. Yeah.
Correct. Get your personality out there. If you're an entrepreneur, maybe you want this to be something that your clients would be looking for, right? So maybe if you're a coach or if you're a keynote speaker, motivational speaker, corporate facilitator, right? So these are the things that your ideal clients would be searching for if they were looking for someone like you, right? So really see, what do I want to brand myself as? How do I want people to find me and know me, right? Because people are just going to look there. And that's what the LinkedIn search also shows those results, is from whatever's in your headline. Now, behind your profile photo is another important photo. And again, some people have this blank. I recommend that you use all the things that LinkedIn asks you to use, because it makes your profile actually much more, they'll show your profile first if you've ticked all the boxes, right? If you've ticked all the information that they've asked you to provide, and that includes the photo, your banner. Now, again, use this to your liking. If you want to have something, if you're a professional person, perhaps if you're an electrical engineer, you can have a grid or some power lines in the background if you don't want it to be too out there. If you're a business person, have what you do. What do you do? I help women in male-dominated industries to excel and to gain confidence, or to whatever the case may be. I'm not sure what would yours be, Kams, or what do you have on yours?
Mine's got my program.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So if someone's looking for your program, is this the Ideas to Income, your challenge?
Oh, no, it's not, but maybe I should change it so that it freshes it and it pushes it up so that people are aware of the challenge that I have coming up for the end of the month.
Correct, right? So if you've got something that you're trying to promote, you've got something, so this is not set in stone. It's not something that has to live there forever. You can change it and refresh it according to your business needs, change it and refresh it according to your brand changes, right? Because, we go through seasons, perhaps we go through a bit of time where we're like, oh, I really want to be known for being a mining queen, but now actually mining is no good. I'm now a mom. I don't want to be living in the middle of nowhere. I want to be in the city. I want to be close to schools. And your desires or your brandings may change, right? So don't feel like this is set in stone. Don't feel like it's a forever thing. Put yourself out there and just make that known, so that as people come and see you, then they get a feel and a sense for what you're all about and how you can help them or how you can collaborate.
Yeah, those are really good tips. Brenda, I think one of the interesting aspect about you where you excel as well is that you've managed to do basically a career change like I have. Going from the office to doing coaching. How did you feel about that transition in terms of the identity shift? And what kind of encouraging words would you have for the people that wants to do something similar?
I think it was similar to the TED Talk. It's kind of like exciting. It's like, oh, I've always wanted to be a coach. I've always wanted to help people. I would love to be focusing on this full time. I'd love to be, really getting ahead on this, right? So there's definitely some excitement and some buzz that comes with the transition. And then it's like a roller coaster. Then the sinking feeling is like, oh shit, like I have to, sorry, excuse my language. I have to, there's just me. I look around and I don't have a team. I don't have anyone who's gonna assist with things. When you're in the corporate world, like there's a bit of structure. You got your meetings. Every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday, you've got these things. Every Tuesday is presentations or something. You've got a bit of a structure. In the entrepreneur world, you are your structure. You are the CEO. So you set up all of that stuff. So there's a bit of transition in mindset around, I am the one and I'm the only one, right? And if I don't do it, or if I don't arrange for someone to do it, then it's not going to get done. And if I don't go out there and seek clients or seek that engagement and put some content out and tell people what I'm doing and be visible, people won't know what I'm doing. People won't know what's out there, right? Because people scroll now. People have got very short time spans. They scroll around and they look for what they want and they go there. If they can't see anything happening on your page, they're not going to message you and be like, oh, is anything still happening? Or, they just look for what's open. Which shop door is open virtually, physically, and they go in there, right? So that's a shift in mindset that's really required around, okay, I want to be present. I need to learn some new skills. I need to learn some new marketing. I may have been afraid to be visible in the workplace. I need to be visible now. Otherwise, if I'm not visible and not selling, then nothing's going to happen. I don't really have a business. I've got a hobby. So that is a real transition that happens from moving from a career woman, I suppose, to an entrepreneur. And I think the really important thing that I would say, and look, this could be different for different people, but for myself, I'm a people person. So I find that I really blossom when I'm in accountability groups or when I'm with someone who can sort of keep me to account or ask, hey, well, how did you go with this? Or you said you're going to do that. Does that happen? It's like, oh, crap. Yeah, I was meant to do that. Or yes, I'm working on it. Or actually, I need some extra support. What do you think about this? And bounce some ideas around, right? So getting clear on what your level of support looks like. Is that just another coach that you might meet up with regularly? Do you have a community that you guys just get together, maybe sit down for 45 minutes? People just are working in the background together. You're typing in the chat what you're doing. And there's just that level of bouncing the ideas around. And then, yeah, setting up your structure, because some people love the nomadic lifestyle. They love to be out near a beach and sending emails from there. I prefer to be in a bit of a, structured environment in an office where I can have quiet and peace and have access to my tools, write some notes down. So yeah, getting into your flow, understanding what works for you, and just not being afraid to try, right? Because people are like, oh my gosh, I've never done this before. I don't know how they do that. They don't know either. They're just figuring things out. They're making it work. They're trialing and failing and then trying again and like, oh, this worked. Let me try a little bit more of this. And oh, that didn't work, or that didn't feel good. Let me try see something. This feels good, and really just finding your rhythm. And this is the same in the workplace, in your new role, when you become a new mom. You just got to try things out and learn as you go.
You know what's interesting about that? It's like, yeah, exactly. Learn as you go. People have this think it's so hard, and you're like, yeah, being like a new mom. It's like being a mom is probably way harder than starting a business, right? It's like, where did you get that extra 60 hours? Where did you can function and not sleep and still do it? You're not ready, and it's there. You're always responsible. Would you say being a mom was much harder than
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I try to remind myself, if I can be a mom, then that means I should be able to do anything, because yeah, there's lots of mental load, physically thinking about what you need to do, planning for meals, planning for yeah, there's lots. That could be a whole other podcast episode.
Exactly. I find that so interesting when women is like struggling to go, oh, but I don't know this and that. It's like, you figured it out as a mother about all of these. It's like, if you can do that, you can do anything. You're just like so capable. Yeah, thank you for reminding
That's
us.
A good reminder for myself even comes. We forget the parallels that we can draw through life, right? Like things that we've gone through are just evidence for how much more we can go through, like our capability and our capacity to do cool things and great things and hard things. We forget. But yeah, we need each other to
women give themselves so little credibility for all the hard work that they are able to in juggling so many tasks. It's crazy.
I concur.
Amazing having you here today. If the listener wants to get to know you more, get to know Brenda more, where is the best place to find you?
The best place to find me is probably on LinkedIn, if you like to operate there. Otherwise, on Facebook. I am Brenda Denbesten on all of the platforms. So if you look for me anywhere, you will find me, and feel free to just DM me and say, hey, I heard this podcast you had with Calms. I was really interested in what you said. Let's connect, or whatever the case may be. And I'll be happy to, keep in touch, definitely.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Excel in life, live your purpose, be free.